Hey everyone, Dylan here, and happy 2023. Last year surely was a time where, if you will, the crazy juice bottle definitely spilled over the whole entire world of professional wrestling, at least. We had a couple of insane news stories, if you will, conspire throughout the year, and I'll be honest with you, this is normally the part where I'd give you a little sneak preview into it, but if I gave you a preview onto what's to come, there basically wouldn't be a need for me to mansplain throughout the rest of the video. I would like to specify before we get to the final line that some of these controversies may be a stretch for, but any news stories that were kind of a major deal, if you will, that was a nice rhyme. Without further ado, here are the controversial moments of 2022, at least, that I could think of at least. Comments and apology of the Brian Kendrick. Brian Kendrick used to have some wild-ass conspiracy theories back in the day. Brian Kendrick was scheduled to face Jon Moxley on the February 2nd episode of AEW Dynamite, just after him asking to be released from WWE, I think the same day, if my memory recalls correctly. But after some of Kendrick's past controversial comments resurfaced, which, let me just clarify off the bat, I'm not going to repeat, to quote, to put up on the screen, etc., etc., any of the comments said. If you want to know, I think I'll post some links in the description below, but if I don't, look it up in your own way. The reason why he wasn't on AEW, keep in mind they are very offensive stuff. Point taken, after that happened, Kendrick was subsequently removed from the match by Tony Khan and was replaced with Wheeler Yuta, which, if I'm not mistaken, that was either the start or the match that made the BCC a thing back in the day. Since then, Brian Kendrick has apologized for the said comments. He was also apparently behind a match that Ronda Rousey did very recently. I don't remember which one off the top of my head. I just hope, when all is said and done, that he's learned from the past and hopefully his opinions on the world have changed. Jonathan Gresham quits Ring of Honor. You know what? Honestly, I'll forgive you if you don't remember this one, because it happened roughly during the time of the Forbidden Door, and everybody who kept up with that knows what a headache that was, which I don't know if it's on this list or not, but man, that was a rough time to be an AEW fan, or just a fan of wrestling in general. What you need to know is that Jonathan Gresham reportedly got into a heated argument with Tony Khan mere hours before his match against Claudio Castagnoli, but he remained professional while he was working the match, so if there's anything to take off of this positively, there's that. Tony Khan announces that he bought Ring of Honor. Yeah, I'll be honest, not to repeat myself here, but I completely forgot that this happened this year too. I thought it was 2021 at the tail end of that. As everyone probably knows by now, they were majorly responsible for allowing indie talent to make their brand known, for lack of a better way to say it. Think about the popular people like Tyler Black, Kevin Steen, El Generico, Bryan Danielson, and probably many others since then. The Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, which he was more of a product of New Japan, but still, etc., etc. I think it's fair to say without Ring of Honor, they arguably wouldn't have had as well of an opportunity to be shown to as wide of an audience, which, to be fair, it's not like they were on TNA, which was televised wrestling at the time, but it's still, an opportunity for them to be known to an underground hardcore fan base. To summarize a company that has existed almost as long as I've been alive, their financial history, TLDR, is that they can never get a stable financial backer and TV time at the same time, despite the fact that the Sinclair Broadcast Group owned them prior to the buyout, and gosh, for the longest time beforehand. Just in my opinion, real quick, if they got that precious TV time back in the day, they could honestly have been right up there with TNA, just to reiterate that. Anyways, when the company announced its intentions in October, specifically October 27th, 2021, to release all performers from their existing contracts and quote-unquote reimagine its future, you could see the writing on the wall, basically. So fast forward a little bit to the March 2nd, 2022 episode of AEW Dynamite. Just give you a little backstory beforehand, if you will. The deal was finalized shortly before the show, and Tony Khan announced in the middle of the ring that he had purchased Ring of Honor, which happened earlier in the month, and I think it was speculated on during that time too, if I'm not mistaken. Now keep in mind, this was the go-home show for Revolution, and this was right before the big boom that happened right after, so they still had that kind of big for the time boom of AEW couldn't do any wrong. So fans were excited to see if anything was going to come of that at the pay-per-view. Maybe you could have an invasion show on the pay-per-view, or maybe the pay-per-view they were going to announce they have TV deals, or the Rebirth, or something like that, right? Yeah, so that's kind of the problem. Since then, basically, they've had a very slow, and you could arguably say steady, rebuild process between re-signing talent, bringing the stars of Ring of Honor's past in to hold the title for a little bit, like Claudio. There's some more examples I'm just not thinking right now. As well as, putting it on Jericho to get the name value behind Ring of Honor to bring some eyes in for the product, and to inform some new people on how to watch it. Which, by the way, I will not plug how to because I am not sponsored. Shane McMahon gets fired. Right, so this one was so petty and a literally less than a day issue, so I'm not going to go too in depth on it. Basically, Shane was the booker of the Royal Rumble. He made the Rumble all about himself. Everybody got pissed about it, including Brock Lesnar, so Vince had no other choice but to fire him. Vince McMahon's retirement. Before I even get into this one, let it be known that I wrote this script on January 1st before all the craziness truly broke out, and I'm not going to give you a chronological time of what's happened since then. In the future, I'm going to have a news video that'll come out of everything for the first week and the second week and the third week and so on of January, even though there's only one more week after the third, but you get what I'm saying. So in that video, whichever one's appropriate with the news, I'll explain it. But for this video, we're just going to mention what we knew up until the beginning of the new year. On July 2nd, 2022, there was a letter put out on WWE Corporate under the company's news saying, I'm going to try to do a Vince voice here. As I approach 77 years old, I feel it's time for me to retire as a chairman and CEO of WWE. Throughout the years, it's been a privilege to help WWE bring you joy, inspire you, thrill you, surprise you, and always entertain you. A little bit of stretch on that. Sorry, that's not the quote. I would like to thank my family for mightily contributing to our success. I would also like to thank all of our past and present superstars and employees for their dedication and passion to the brand. Most importantly, I would like to thank our fans for allowing us into your homes every week and being your choice of entertainment. I hold the deepest appreciation and admiration for our generations of fans all over the world who have liked, currently liked, and sometimes even loved our form of sports entertainment. That Vince voice wears you out. Oh. Our global audience can take comfort in knowing WWE will continue to entertain you with the same fever. Hold on. Gotta get a search word real quick. Yes, as I was saying, fervor, not fever, dedication, and passion as always. I am extremely confident in the continued success of WWE, and I leave our company in the capable hands of an extraordinary group of superstars, employees, and executives. In particular, both the chairwoman at the time and CEO at the time, Stephanie McMahon, that's also known as co-CEO, and co-CEO Nick Khan. As a majority shareholder, I will continue to support WWE in any way I can. My personal thanks to community and business partners, shareholders, and board of directors for their guidance and support throughout the years. Then, now, forever, together. Whew. Remind me not to do that voice again. On the same night's episode of SmackDown, Stephanie McMahon announced her father's retirement on air and led the whole crowd into a "Thank you, Vince" chant. Now, that's as touching as a business letter can be, and if that was all to this segment per se, then that would have been just heartwarming. The cherry on top of the cake, as they say. Unfortunately, there's worse things. On July 8th, the Wallstreet Journal, days before that episode of SmackDown and his retirement, reported that McMahon paid more than $12 million to 4 women, all of who had been affiliated with the WWE, to cover up sexual misconduct and infidelity claims. Now keep in mind, since there have been even more claims since coming out, as well as a rumor of him wanting to return, which no longer is a rumor, by the way, and I should proofread my scripts. I'll just say this, right? The product as a whole has been better, in my opinion, since he stepped down. If he returns, which he did return, at the time I put if he returns, I will not watch it. That's an interesting one, because he's not over creative, but he's still in the system. But he also forced himself in this system. So this is what I'm going to say. As of right now, unless things escalate, and if things escalate and certain companies decide to buy them, I may not watch it. But for now, I'm going to try to watch it and do a review, but more on that later. Just as a little bow to tie off this little section, I think as a character on my screen per se, he was great in his role, whether it was a heel or face or whatever it may have been, or just him being him, and he knew how to provoke emotions. As a human, if any of this is true, you truly are the scum of the earth, and one way or another, right? I hope you get what's coming to you. Also, I think I said it earlier, but just to reinterpret, links will be in the description below to several different news articles, both in the world of journalism and in the world of wrestling journalism, etc., etc., if you want to know what's going on past this. But with all due respect to the situation, I'd like to continue past it. MJF's Pipebomb. Man, oh man, oh man, that was a beautiful work shoot, wasn't it? If you haven't watched it, I recommend you do, but due to how long certain subjects already are on this list, I'll simplify it in the most PG way I can. After negotiations between MJF and Tony Khan went sour, MJF basically threatened to no-show a match with him and Warlord by buying a plane ticket. After some negotiations happened behind the scenes, he actually showed up for the match and got definitely punished in the ring. So, as a retaliation to that, 2 weeks later, or at least in this storyline, MJF walked down to the ring. He was furious at Tony Khan and basically called him out while telling him to fire him, and he was, again, gotta keep it PG, an effing mark. Like I said, the summary won't do it, as well as like the drama leading up to it and everything afterwards, basically. So if you haven't, do yourself a favor and watch not only the promo, but everything leading up to the promo, so it feels more strongly when it happens. Alright, we're about to get to the final subject of this video. In case it's not obvious already, I'm not going to mention it. Keep it a little secret between us. If you know, you know. But with that being said, I'm going to mention some honorable mentions, or I guess in this case, dishonorable. I don't know, how would you controversy, dishonorable, honorable, however you wish to word it. Naomi and Sasha Banks walking out. Basically, Sasha got mad that her and her tag team partner were going to lose in 2 singles competitions to Ronda, so they both walked out. Sasha, now known as Mercedes Moné. Sorry, it's just fun to say it like that. Mercedes Moné, there we go. And she's going to be challenging Kairi Sane I forget the event, but for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, excitement of that. And Naomi's status is still to be determined. Sammy Guevara. I'll be honest, this one's just an in general statement towards everything he's done this year. Between backstage fights with Eddie Kingston and Andrade, to the comments about the title, I think that was this year. And, the fan backlash towards him just in general. he really hasn't had that favorable of a year wrestling-wise, has he? Jeff Hardy's DUI. Man, it's a shame, really, isn't it? Like, minus the fact that a human's going through issues that he's had for years and he can't fully tackle them. Outside of that, from a wrestling standpoint, we were so close to getting a proper, like, broken Hardy's reunion. And then this happened. I'm sure in the future I'm going to do a video like the best and worst of AEW this year, and so on and so on. And this will probably be mentioned again. But in case it's not, or maybe like I'll say in that video, hypothetically, addiction isn't an easy thing to overcome. It's a day-by-day thing, not a I'm just going to stop doing anything. With that being said, though, I also think you should be held accountable for your actions. Either way, whatever the future has in store for Jeff Hardy, whether it's wrestling, maybe retiring, maybe I'll bump my mic like I just did. That doesn't affect Jeff, but it affects me. Or maybe it's just he cleans himself up, gives it one more shot, and then I'm over and done. Sorry. Also, I think it's one last, but I digress. Whatever happens, I just hope he can beat it this time, and I'm rooting for him. And for the last one in this list, again, in no particular order, it's... drumroll, please. Okay, we don't have sound effects here, screw it. Brawl Out, aka AEW All Out 2022 Media Scrum. Oof. That's all I can say off the bat about this one, it's just oof. Alright, so picture this. All Out 2021. Scratch that. I don't know what year we're in. 2022 just wrapped up. The card was a pretty decent overall event, but with all due respect to the competitors, just kind of felt like the only one that was the match was the main event. So, not to be a tease again, but if I ever do that like best and worst of AEW video, I'll go into more in depth. But the main event was CM Punk versus Jon Moxley. Moxley was the champion after just beating Punk, which Punk just came back from an injury and won the title back. No, wait, he still had the title, sorry. It's been a while, I'm confused. Point taken. Moxley, new champion, I think second time in his career if you don't count being an interim champion. So they just had a heller of a match. CM Punk won it, which I don't know if that's the right call, but for the story that they were going to lead up to, maybe it was the right call. Anyway, after he wins it, the devil we saw earlier in the night win the big old poker chip, which I forget what they call that gimmick, but it's like their version of Money in the Bank. He won it earlier in the night. First we hear like a phone call from Tony Khan, and then the devil like reveals himself to be MJF. Sorry that I'm speeding this up. It's just, you've probably heard the story already, and I don't want to waste your time. But if you haven't, definitely listen to the MJF reveal, because it was crazy how the crowd really wanted MJF versus CM Punk. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted MJF versus CM Punk. I started to lose faith in not just AEW, but in CM Punk as a babyface, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this will be the thing that like rejuvenates me back into wrestling, because I was getting a little burned out too, you know how it is. Less about me, more about this though. So, MJF just reveals himself to be the person. He comes out, does like the little title around the waist motion with his hand, I think, and then flips off the crowd. They call it a night. And then they have the press conference after the show. So everybody's kind of normal, right? And then CM Punk has his, where not only does he bury journalists that are giving false information, which I 1000% agree with, he also buries Colt Cabana, but uncomfortably. And he attacks Hangman Adam Page for something he said in a promo, which I'm not going to speak on because it's their business, but it just seems petty. Like, long story short though, after that, which these comments were said like a couple weeks before, and he already got like his shot back at him, right? Anyway, after this happens, Matt and Nick Jackson meet him in the locker room, and Kenny Omega's there too. Point taken, Ace Styles and CM Punk went against the Elite, basically, in a real fight. And Kenny Omega allegedly got bit. There's plenty of articles that says a bunch of alleged stuff, but nothing has been confirmed one way or another yet. I think it's all speculation and just like poke, like wink and nudge dad at this point, so I'm not going to go into it. But point taken, after this happened, everybody involved got suspended indefinitely. It's an ongoing case right now. The Elite are back, and I think they're the Trios Tag Team Champions yet again. So I guess all's well that ends well for them. And Punk, last that I read, he is quote-unquote on ice right now. Whatever that means, I'm not sure. Just to reiterate, there's more to it after this. But all you need to know is that the Elite, Nakazawa, Brandon Cutler, Ace Steel, and CM Punk were suspended immediately due to the fight. If you want to go in more depth and read into innuendos and rumors, I should have more in the description below. But with that being said, I'm not gonna post every last thing I see about this. You would have to do some digging on your own, because I don't want to spread rumors. I just want facts. Alrighty, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. For everyone out there watching, this video's over with unless you want to know what's going on this channel, but it's not going to be how it normally is. So with that being said, if you enjoyed, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe, maybe give it a like if you want, and do me a favor, tell me which promotion you think did worse or better, depending on what your output on life is. And if multiple people do, or if you do, please keep it friendly. Keep it safe. I don't want this to become a place you can't speak your opinion about. Thank you. I'd appreciate it. With that being said, who knows? Maybe this will become like a yearly video thing. Maybe I'll do it next year for 2023's news, because we already got some lovely articles as it is. I'm not going to write that in stone. Who knows? Maybe I'll come back and do worst things of 2020 and 2019 and 2021 and 2022. And best things of AEW, or something to that degree in the future, maybe. Alright, I'm quit rambling now, because god, that's the most lengthy part of the video. If everything goes to plan, I should have a news review out relatively soon, or maybe it's already out by the time I edit this. There should be several different videos posted. Eventually I'll have some more lists up. I'll have some reviews of Raw, SmackDown, almost said ECW, AEW, etc., etc. It's like 4 a.m. I'm going to stop talking. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. If you want more Dylan in the meantime, there's some videos that should pop up on the screen right about now. Or maybe now. Or maybe now. Maybe they were up the whole time. But they could be up now. Hey, did you see that one? Oh, it just came by. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that because you weren't paying attention.